Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. It is Steve. How's everybody doing? Today, I'm going to do a quick video to teach you or tell you why I personally do not shoot in manual mode with my Sony a7 III or with my Canon M50. I have watched tens and tens of videos in the past 2.5, 3 years on this very topic from professional YouTube accounts, and it all boils down to like two things. One, you don't have to, like literally there's no need to shoot in manual mode. Asterisk, if you have a tripod, then yeah, of course you could use manual, talking about handheld. And number two is you just always want to get the shot. No matter where you are, would you rather not get a shot or would you get the shot? I'll talk about a couple of things, but first I will show you, if you're new and you just got your camera, your DSLR or your mirrorless, there are two settings on the knob, but what I, on my Sony, concentrate on is M for manual, S for shutter priority, and A for aperture priority. And that's all right there, as you can see. So there are a few basic photography, like pictures most people that starting out want to do. They want to take portraits, whether that's of things that they see outside or of another human being, a subject. So portrait photography is big. Number two is sports photography, or maybe you're out and you're taking pictures of like birds or animals that are running around really fast. Number three is like plant photography, plant life, or items outside that don't move too much. So I'm really just going to talk about those three. There are plenty of others, but those are the basic three. Okay, so if I'm outside and I want to take portraits of a subject, a human subject, obviously I'm not going to be going out at night. I'm going to go out when there's light, in the morning, afternoon, before it gets dark. With that being said, I will shoot in aperture priority mode because I want to control the depth of field, and I also want to control the ISO. Because there's plenty of light, I want the highest quality picture, so I'll set my ISO at like 100, 150, or 200. I'm controlling the aperture and I'm controlling the ISO. The camera is controlling the shutter speed. The second thing is wildlife photography or sports photography, where something's moving really fast. Now this is another asterisk. I like to shoot where I control my shutter speed because it has to be really high, or I want it to be maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. I also want to control my aperture, so I can manually control that myself. And then I'll let the camera determine my ISO. And this is really because things are moving so fast, you don't have time to like sit there and fiddle with settings. If you're somewhere and you see a lion, do you really want to be in your camera messing with the settings, or do you just want to take a picture? That's why they say you just want to get the picture. If you have your ISO on automatic and it's bright out, you don't have to worry about that getting too high anyway. You'll still get a high quality picture. But the caveat is, technically, I'm shooting on the manual M setting, but I'm turning my ISO knob to automatic. So even though I'm on the manual setting, I'm not shooting in full manual mode, only controlling the shutter speed, the aperture, and I'm letting the camera control the ISO. So whenever I want to see seagulls or birds or anything moving fast, I'll turn it to manual mode. I'll turn my ISO knob to set that to auto. And if it's a bird, I know I probably have to be around 2,000. And I'll set my aperture to the lowest. I'll start at the lowest because that lets in the most light. And then, you could still mess with the aperture if you want and still keep your shutter speed at the speed that you want it. Number three is if you're taking pictures of like flowers and things, and that gets kind of tricky because depending on the wind, the flower will move. If you're just taking a picture of like a rock or something, that's really still, so it doesn't really matter. But for this, I will also shoot in usually aperture priority mode, because if it's really bright out and I'm taking a picture of a flower and I just want to get a picture of like the petals and really nice background blur, I'll want the aperture to be down to like 2.8, 3 or 4. And then if it's morning, again, I'll have my ISO set manually at like 100 or 200. And then I know that my shutter speed is probably going to be fast enough. Now, as it gets darker, you might have to fiddle with that a little bit, but I'm just talking basics for beginners. You're going outside, never shoot in full manual. You just want to get the shot. You're there to take a picture. You're learning. You just want to get that shot and not miss the perfect shot. So again, the only time I really use full manual mode is if I'm on a tripod. But for full handheld, I don't use manual mode. I always use either aperture priority or I switch it to manual mode and turn the ISO to auto, and I control the aperture and the shutter speed. You're going out and taking pictures. Your main concern is getting a good picture with the least amount of fiddling with your camera as possible. That's why you always want to control 2 portions of the exposure triangle and let the camera control 1. So if you're controlling the aperture and the shutter speed, then you want your camera to control the ISO. And if you're controlling the ISO and the aperture, then your camera could control the shutter speed. I hope that was helpful for anyone who's just trying to get out there and take some pictures. You just got a new DSLR or mirrorless camera. The tendency is usually to want to be fancy and pro and shoot in manual, but like I said, many pros don't. On the opposite side of the spectrum, do not shoot in automatic mode. That basically means the camera controls all 3. So I don't shoot in manual mode unless I'm on a tripod, and I'd never shoot in automatic. That's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful. Me saying it, I feel like it's pretty simple, but if you don't understand what I'm saying, just leave a comment below and I'll be sure to answer it. Hit me up on some of my other social medias, DM me, whatever you want to do. But main point, you do not have to shoot in manual mode. Don't feel like you're less than of a photographer and you think that if you want to be pro, you have to. Like I said, 3 years I watched tons of videos learning how to use my camera, and I think no professional YouTube photographer ever uses manual mode unless it's on a tripod. That's it for me. Well, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Please, as normal, keep liking, subscribing, hit the notification bell, ask me any questions in the comments below. I'll talk to you on the next video. Peace, guys.